It's me, Tom from Target Prime Rib. I'm here right now. It's 4 o'clock, and this is my normal Saturday interview lives. I see a few people are in the chat. Hold on. Oh, it never lets me actually mute it until after I start the live. So, um, so we got Sandy, Gary, George, and Tanya. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm not sure if Lynn actually, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. You know, so all's good. And I just sent her an email, giving her the hey Tammy, hey Smoothie, how you doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Uh, I was going to go live on Instagram as well. Um, but you know what? I think I'm going to forget about that part and just do it from here. All right. So we can stop that. Terminate. Okay. So we'll just do it from here. That's fine. Um so all is going good. I just got done with we had a party at my job and everything like that, and you'll be happy to know the only thing I had that probably is not the best thing in the world, but the only thing I had was some water and some chicken wings. And I only had 6 of them. So, and before that, I actually had some butter coffee to give me some more butter. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Rick, how you doing? So, all's good. I'm a little sore from working all day but I'm good. So, how's everybody else doing? Yeah, I'm sorry I missed I only saw part of your live today, Rick. I apologize. I saw that you had somebody on are you able to do that now? Have other people on your lives now? Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, I wasn't really expecting to talk about anything in particular, because usually the guests will help do with that. So, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. Um, I hope everything's okay, actually. Uh, Sometimes you never know what causes it, Paul. Oh, cool, Tanya. 16 hours. So you're a quarter way there, right? It's good. I know you can do it. I'm rooting for you. Okay, let's. I don't think we need the question thing right anymore, right? Hello, Mason. How you doing? You hear music? No, it's oh, yeah, my roommate's blasting his phone. He always does. He can't hear very well. He doesn't know he's blasting it, but yeah. Um it's why I have to kind of do what I do at night because he plays the TV kind of loud. No, it's the I don't know what it is, but it's not the Chips theme song. Thank you, Juliet. I don't know where Lynn. I apologize, Juliet. I don't know where Lynn is. I'm gonna give her a couple more minutes. Um, I sent her the link just to be on the safe side. So I always like to send it like a few minutes before because sometimes you just don't know. I'm doing okay, Lewis. Thank you. It's always disappointing when your guest doesn't show up, but hopefully there's a good hopefully, well, not hopefully. I'm hoping it's not a bad reason, like that it's something that she just forgot or something like that. That's okay, Thomas. I just a lot of Saturdays. Yeah, I know. I mean, the thing is, I have a live every Saturday. This nothing's changed. The only time it would change is if the guest, needs it to. But thank you, Tanya. I appreciate that. But so I mean, she's we even talked about the other day. So I'm fine. I'm just hoping that everything's okay. But if she doesn't come if she doesn't do in a few minutes, then I will put the link, and if anybody else wants to come on and say hello, we can do that. All right, and just have it be a little change of pace, so to speak. And actually, Tanya, I'm even more glad that you guys are here. Never mind me being here. So thank you. That's what I thought too, George. That's what I thought too. I thought things were in the okay. You had a meetup in the park with one friend. That's cool. You mean like a meetup, or like you were just meeting a friend? Oh my god. Hmm. Mason, you're missing John, and isn't Rick supposed to be Ringo? All right, a little Beatles reference there. I started seeing it. I didn't see the whole thing there, Sandy, about Carrie's video. Oh god, I'm so sorry, Lewis. Okay, well, I'm sure you when you get a chance you'll watch it. All right. Well, I think I gave enough time. If it ends up that she comes, then we'll just have to do it in a different format. So I'm going to put in the chats the link. If anybody wants to come on and say hello, they can. You're more than welcome. And I'll even pin it to the top. All right. So anybody wants to join, they can. And we'll figure something out that's. I mean, if she hasn't, she's not. If she's not here, my guess is. I'm wondering if she thought it was 4 o'clock her time, but I keep on saying Eastern, so it's the only thing I can think of. And that if that is the case, then we can just do an hour with you, an hour this way, and then hope and pray she comes on, and then I would probably have to just cut her thing short, but which I don't get why people get confused with that. I live in New Jersey. I'm Eastern. So why would I go by another person's, like why would I go by other people's time frame when I'm the only one that's in this time frame? Like, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, one of these days you're gonna have to tell us how you make the sauerkraut there, Rick. Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe I should start doing that. Sometimes it's a little confusing, but I mean, I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I know there's a couple people who get confused. But yeah, it'd be nice if there was a format or something like that. That as soon as I guess I just have to do the math and figure it out. Like, hey, where are you at? Just so I know what time zone you're in or whatever. Just seems like a lot more like. So it's only 1 p.m. Where she is? Oh, that's true. She's in Washington. I wouldn't think about that. I'm always used to the central, so I was thinking like, okay. So if it's 1 p.m., yeah. I'm hoping that. Well, let me see. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I just wrote the letter, and hopefully she'll get the message, and you know we'll figure it out. Oh, I'm sorry. Your daughter's in the hospital all day, and guess who now is on carnivore fasting and fatty beef broth? Yep, I texted with Dr. Kiltz about her OBGYN issue, and she is listening to Dr. Kiltz. Good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. It's going to be so cool there, Mason. Mm. Oh, here, Paul. Hey, Paul. How you doing?
How you doing? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. How you doing?
I checked the car all out, checked all the air pressure, oil, washer fluid, all that kind of stuff. I take off Monday morning. I'm driving down to Lewis, Delaware. Be across the bay from you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much about Lewis, Delaware, but I definitely know Delaware. So, yeah, been to.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wow.
They one time they rented they were having a house built down there and they rented this condo on the bay. We could watch the ferry go back and forth. It was pretty cool living on the beach is pretty cool,
Yeah, it is. There's
you
some
know.
benefits to it, yeah.
I mean, it was off peak season, so and they had to move out to someplace else, and they just had that area has grown down there so fast. It's just crazy. But yeah, I cleaned out the car and slowly but surely packing everything in the car, and then one of the soccer balls I bought, it's got some kind of leak in it. So I took a can of Fix-A-Flat and stuck the needle on the Fix-A-Flat and stuck it in there. It's held pressure, so it looks like it's going to make it. So
Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
I saw a video on the internet. Guy used Fix-A-Flat to fix the soccer ball. I said, hmm.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It's still something with air to it, so yeah, it's
Yeah, you know, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the little rats and
the little
oh, they
white
just
rats.
well, I mean, the youngest one is now 4. Well, should be 4 on January 4th,
Okay.
and the oldest one, he just turned 11, and I can't even imagine what he's like. He's just high. To me, they're out of control, but they're just high energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Things, and he can't. The three girls could be in the kitchen coloring at the countertop, and he can't just resist walking in, taking one of their favorite crayons and just snapping it in two, and just throwing them into a tizzy. And I don't get it, And I mean, they're all really good kids, but
Right.
they're a wild bunch, and you don't
Uh,
want to mess with them. You
our
don't want to
guest
mess with them.
I'm sorry, Paul, our guest speaker just showed up, so
Good.
um,
I'm
alright.
glad you're here, and you take care, and
Thank you,
you all have
Paul.
a Merry Christmas, everybody in the audience here too.
Thank you.
Bye,
I
bye, bye
appreciate
now.
that. Thank you for coming.
Bye, bye.
Hey. Oh,
Oh,
hey.
oh my gosh, Thomas, I am so sorry. My sister called and then my alarm didn't go off. So I'm like, I got these texts going, "You're supposed to be on with Thomas." I'm
Who
so
texted
sorry.
you?
I'm here.
No, but who texted you? Oh, Amy's
Lewis.
here. Okay.
Lewis is like,
Oh,
"Aren't you
thank you,
supposed to be
Will.
on with Thomas?" Like, yes. I am. I'm supposed to be on with Thomas.
I'm just like, I even sent you a couple emails. I'm
I
full,
know.
but
I know. I
well,
got those. I'm
maybe
like,
just doesn't. Maybe I forgot to send her the link.
no,
I
it's
sent
not your
you the
fault.
link,
It's crazy. It's like I said, my sister rarely calls me, to be
and
honest.
she picks today to call you.
And she called and I got into this conversation. She was talking about family and all sorts of stuff, and we're headed down to California to visit her next week. And so I literally my brain just got like, sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're forgiven. You're always forgiven. So we have your partner in crime here on the chats, Amy. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. Good. Yeah, you know what? I don't think she even texted me and just asked.
you're quiet. I don't know if she realizes I can't hear her.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
now for some
thank
reason
you,
that
Amy.
whole time I
Thank
couldn't hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy, for the text. I appreciate it.
Oh,
So,
oh
all right. Well,
God.
thank
No,
you for your grace. I really
this.
appreciate it.
I mean, I was getting a little like, oh my God, you know.
Worried. You know what? Whenever I do live streams, honestly, that's like my worst fear is that someone's not going to show up, and it has happened. And
It has happened to me, yeah, before. It's
I'm
not.
usually super like usually early for live streams. And this is the honestly sorry, you are christened. You are the first person I've been late for. So, okay.
Okay, so uh this is fun. Okay.
Okay.
It's
Take
fun.
a deep breath.
Um yeah, so this is pretty surreal. I'm actually making a video right now for my carniversary.
Oh,
And
good.
it's like I usually when I make videos, I usually record, put it into a certain program. I'm like, okay, that's good enough, and then I just put it out, you know. And usually it has some success to it, or some
Yeah.
you know vitality or whatever. But this time, with Lewis's help, I'm actually taking videos. I'm able to take all the lives that I've done throughout the whole time I've been doing lives for my whole
Yeah.
1 year because I'm doing the video for when Jen comes on.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a
Nice.
debut. I even put in the thing, I'm debuting this particular video, and it's going to be, like, all the lives collected together. So,
Oh, cool.
I'm missing 3 lives, yours, and then 2 other people.
Okay. All
So,
right. Well, you guide me on what you want to talk about. I am game for anything.
I'm pretty laid back. You can ask anybody. I don't know if if you talk to Carrie or Adam about how I do, but I'm pretty laid back. I mean, the whole purpose of this is for you to tell your story and
Yeah.
tell a little bit about yourself. So I usually just sit back, I let you talk, and then if anybody has any, please, people, Let me put the banner back up because sometimes people have to be reminded, you know,
Yeah.
with
I
the stuff.
see you got, yeah, people in the chat. I'd love to know. I see some people I recognize.
Yeah. Do you want to say hi to
Um,
them first, or
Someone asked if Amy's Lynn's sister. No, Amy's my bud. She's my friend. But yeah, if anybody in the
Amy's your
chat
sister
has,
from a different Mister, right?
she, yeah, exactly. She's also my co-author with the children's books.
Yes. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
we do have one question. Juliet is saying, "Hi, Lynn. How
How is
is
your
move
move
going?
going?
New house, etc."
Okay. I will start since a lot of people know me. I'll definitely start with that. And please, anybody who's in the chat who's never heard my story, just let me know because that will help me know like how much detail to go into. And of course, I'm assuming two people maybe watching this in the replay who have never heard my story, but absolutely. So, um, with the house. So for people who don't know, so I live in Washington State. I live maybe 10 minutes away from Dr. Baker and about 20 minutes away from Bella and the Pacific Northwest. And we have been looking for property where we can have kind of like a family, like multi-generational thing.
Mhm.
My youngest daughter and her husband, they're expecting their first child. Oh, we're all gonna live there together. So we found a property it's just under 28 acres, and it's a crazy house that it was not designed and built by Frank Lloyd Wright, but the owner was an architect and designed it with the Frank Lloyd Wright style. And literally, I don't think anybody in the country wants this house other than us. It was built in 1979. It was never updated. It has original like shag carpet, original everything, and there is not a right angle in the entire house. Like literally, it's not, and there are Frank Lloyd Wright. There's plenty of Frank Lloyd Wright houses that have right angles, but then there's
Right.
some where they build them like on like a hexagon
That's what I meant.
design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like everything is hexagon or at least not a right angle, literally the whole house, and including closets. It's bizarre, but it's beautiful, gorgeous property. So anyway, we finally got in contract in this house. It's an estate sale, and four siblings. One sibling is difficult, but um, contingent on us selling our house. So we got a full price offer on our house like in 5 days after listing it, but they have to sell their house and no contingencies at all on their house. They have to find like a first time home buyer who doesn't have to sell a property or someone who just doesn't have to sell a property. Their deadline is the 26th of this month and they still have not sold their
Close.
house. Now, there's extensions that we can
Mhm.
give, but the people we're buying from have to agree as well. So I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm just trusting that if this is right, it'll work out. I do not really want to move in February, but it's kind of looking like if things move forward, that's going to be the case.
Right.
But that's where we're at right now. So we're kind of packing up our house, but not kind of because we just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
if things go through, I'll definitely be filming the projects. Do a house tour, a before house tour, and put it on my channel. And it's going to be a design challenge for sure.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best on that one. So,
Yeah.
Amy is saying you better talk about our Christmas book.
Yeah. I should have had it with me, but I was scrambling to scrambling to get on my computer. I am still sitting on the couch in my living room. I didn't even bother going where I usually go when I do live
I'm sitting
streams.
in my normal space.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
And
usually at least at my husband's desk and I've got my lighting and everything. Fortunately, I got good lighting here. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Amy and I have co-written quite a few carnivore children's books. And so the Christmas book, perfect timing now. You can order any of them on Amazon.
right.
There's a couple that she's written independent of me. There's I think one that I've written independent of her, but most of them we've written together.
Yeah.
So you can find them on Amazon. Look up Amy because she's easy to spell. Amy Hosp, HOSP. If you want to look it up under my name, my last name does not have an R in it. People put R's in it all the time, but
It's not Dvorsky? No?
it's not Divoki, it's Divoki. It's Czech.
It's
People in this
Divoki.
country
Divoki, or
have never heard of it, but it's spelled exactly the way it
and
sounds. D I
and
V
if you guys
D-I-V-O-K-Y.
want, I actually put it in the descriptions in on the channel, so you can just hit the link and it'll take you right to Lynn's page for Amazon. So
Oh, perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've got the links for all the
Some things I
books
do think of
on
ahead of
all
time.
my videos. Yeah, oh yeah, perfect. Yeah. So all my videos, I've got the links for all the books. So you can definitely, but
And
uh it takes like a couple days to get it, and it's a great gift for kids and for
oh
nieces,
yeah.
nephews, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
grandkids.
And
Yeah.
there's a reason why I put the Grandma's Crochet Corner up here. She's the lady who wrote
Yeah.
that song. So
Yes.
I thought you'd like to see that she is here in the chats. Um,
Yes, I love it. She was in our Thursday Q&A, what I do with Carrie, and I got
yeah.
to just tell her that my husband was watching her live. One thing I forgot to mention is that he was in talking to me. He kind of left his office. The live was still in process. He was in talking to me, and I think he was still listening with one ear. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go. We're doing the drawing. I may win some yarn." He
That's
was a
funny.
little disappointed that he didn't win.
Oh, I'm so
Literally,
well,
not
I'm
like
sure she'll have a contest again.
not that he would even know what to do with it, and not that I don't have
Well,
a
how
ton
about Jen?
of
Does Jen
yarn.
crochet?
Hmm?
Does Jen crochet? I know she does crafts.
I
Does
don't
she
know.
crochet?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
George.
George, not exactly a QQQ, but Lee Copus, Linda Powell, and me have been preparing a venue for the UK premiere of Healing Humanity, the same place where we filmed the BBC meetup, just near London. Well, cool.
I love it.
Believe me, I would love to go there. Um, and Lewis just put on just an extra link to your channel
Oh,
into
thank you, Lewis. Hey, Lewis.
Lewis is actually my moderator, so he has some power.
Awesome.
Just like a little bit,
Awesome.
you don't want to give somebody too much power, but
Oh, yeah. We love Lewis. Lewis is
yeah. I
awesome.
no, I love Lewis. I mean, he can definitely,
No, did you know him before being on our membership site?
no.
I didn't either.
I think I met Lewis through Mitch.
Okay.
He said, "Kiss the ring." Okay.
Kiss the ring. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think Mitch's channel is the first place I met Lewis,
Okay.
and then
Cool.
but he's proven to be a pretty good friend. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was on Healing
Lewis.
Humanity that he asked me about going to Boston. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I got to meet Lewis in person at Hack Your Health.
yeah,
So
yeah. I got to go
that
into
was
his
great.
house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, it's amazing
pet
how
fabulous cats.
we have this community where I feel like you're a friend and I know you, but yet you're in New Jersey and I'm in Washington.
Yeah, I know.
And
Well,
you know,
it's amazing. It's like when I did Thanksgiving, I felt very bad, but you know what happened with the nose and everything.
yeah.
Um, I I love my sister, but I don't know if it's just because she's an idiot or whatnot. She probably is an idiot because she's my sister. But she goes to me. She's like, "Yeah, we're probably we're not going to have Thanksgiving this year because his mom's not feeling well, and we're going in and out and everything like that." And so I decide I'm like, okay, I'll just be by myself, and that's fine. And so I did my Thanksgiving special and burnt my nose and all that fun stuff. You know that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm looking in Facebook, and my brother-in-law posts a picture of them having a party without me.
That's gotta hurt.
It does. It did, and now I
Yeah.
find out I am invited for Christmas. And I think
Okay.
I mean, I didn't say anything to her, but I think she felt really bad when she saw the videos of me burning my nose. She's like, "Oh my god."
Oh, did you ever find out why you weren't invited?
I think
Or was she
I
just expecting you to show up?
no, I because she was supposed to tell me because she's like, "We're not having
Mm,
it." So, she never
mm,
informed me. I think she just plain forgot.
mm.
I think
So it
that they
probably
did
wasn't
I think at the
personal. It
last minute, they decided that the mom's feeling okay, she wants to have a dinner, and, it was total confusion. Now I probably won't find out until I go there and find out, like, "Oh, why,"
yeah.
if they go to me and say, "Oh, why weren't you here? Why didn't you wanna come?" I'll be like, "I didn't say I
No one
didn't
ever
wanna
told
come.
me.
You told me you weren't having it,"
Yeah, yeah.
but
This is your brain on carbs.
yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
not really worth it, but it's just, but the point I'm making is about 4 different people went to me on that, like Lewis and and a few other people all said that if you were closer, you'd be more than welcome to come to my house.
Oh, nice.
And it goes with what you just said that, it's like, like
Yeah,
we're far away from each other, but yet we still are there for each other if we have,
right.
if we're able to.
Well,
Yeah.
right, and we're all on the same health journey at, different places within that on that journey, but we're all on the same journey, and it seems like it's such an extreme thing. In fact, last night we had, my husband's old friend who'd been used to live here and had moved to South Carolina is in town. He hadn't seen me for 2 years and 3 months since he moved. And so, of course, he was shocked when he saw me. So
Oh, yeah.
we ended up having this conversation about carnivore. He was really interested, and his daughter is very interested as well after listening. But I was explaining to him that I initially, when I went carnivore, I was like, this is an extreme diet. It's an extreme decision to make, and it's a radical choice.
Right,
But I told him, I do not feel that way anymore. Now that I've seen the healing and now that I've experienced how my body has responded, there's no way I can say this is an extreme diet when it's obvious that this is the diet that our bodies want. It's the fact that we're being told to eat otherwise, that's what's extreme.
right,
And society just doesn't know that, and they don't understand that. And, just talking with my sister a few minutes ago and some of her friends and stuff, she's always telling them about me because she's just like so proud of everything that's been going on with me and my health. But she said she can't really explain things to her friends. And so she's looking forward to me being there so I can explain things. But they trust their doctors, and so it's hard when people, you want to trust your doctor because
right,
this is who you're putting your they're in charge. They basically you're relying on them to have your best interest in mind. And so she's wanting me to be able to explain to them, like, why is it that these doctors, the information they're relying on is not reliable,
right,
like the nutritional studies and all their information that they're getting is they don't understand for some reason that it's very poor quality information that they're being fed.
yeah. Yeah,
It
no,
just
you're right.
doctors are just
Lewis
like
got on
us.
the button right here, blind trust, it's,
Yeah,
like for years we had blinders on and,
yeah.
I mean, you do. Like if the doctor says jump, you're like, "Oh, okay." If he says take like 5 medications, then you take the 5 medications. You don't ask, you don't,
Mhm,
I mean, I had a few people in the like not even beginning, like just a week ago, I had somebody go to me and say like, "Well, I listen to my doctor." And I'm like, "Well, I listen to my doctor too, but if he tells me to jump off the bridge, I'm gonna ask him why." You know?
mhm,
Like, "I'm
mhm.
sorry, but"
Right, I agree, and I would never advise anyone not to listen to your
Right,
doctor,
right.
but
But,
also
I
don't think
think
they know everything.
But what's funny is that that you say that. I think what the mentality with a lot of people are though is like even if you say to listen to your doctor, not to to question and to ask and to do, even if you say that, I think people's mentality is of a laziness almost. And it's almost like, well, it's
Well,
easier for me
yeah.
just to listen to the doctor. I'll just do what he says because that's easier for me to
And
do.
it can be if you're looking for just a really short term, okay, I want to feel better tomorrow, and the doctor says that this drug is going to help me feel better tomorrow, then okay, yeah, it
You
might.
jump at the chance, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't, and it does take, as you know from what we've done, it takes a lot of effort to learn
Yeah,
new information, especially when it's opposite of what we've been taught. So, yeah, it takes someone who wants to learn and who is questioning, and but uh, and it's part of it is getting the education out there that the doctor's education is lacking. And
right.
then once you know the doctor's education is lacking and they're miseducated with wrong information, then at least you can put a cynical hat on and realize, okay,
Yeah,
I can listen to my doctor, but I need to investigate this for myself.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to do your own n equals one experiment, basically. Like
Mhm.
I've said this before. Whether it's that makes sense or not. I mean, technically, if you think about it, even when whether we listen to our doctors blindly or whether we do what we are doing, we're doing an n equals one experiment. Every single time we make a decision, that's an n equals one
Right.
experiment. We
Right.
just don't realize we've been doing it for all of our lives.
Right.
Like it's always that what are we going to do? What did it do for us? You know,
Yeah.
and we go through life, just going blind. I mean, that's the problem. It's like, okay, it's okay to listen, and if you're going to do a quick fix, but if it's not working for you, well, then you have to
Mhm.
question that.
Well, and people using going by the standard American diet is an N equals one experiment. When
Well, that's
you
what I mean.
choose,
Everything you do
yeah,
is an equals.
everything you do, yeah,
Yeah,
whether you realize it or not,
yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it goes
And then when
just life itself, like, if I'm gonna wear glasses today, like, I'm doing an N equals 1 experiment on whether or not the glasses are working for me, it's
yeah, yeah.
or I
And
don't
people
wear them,
ask,
and I do the N equals 1 experiment, do I fall on my face, like,
right, yeah. And
you
people
know
ask, where's the science supporting carnivore? And it's like, well, it's not, like I said,
yeah,
no one's done a study of just carnivore, you
well,
know?
I mean, I guess we could argue that it's a life science in a way,
Yeah,
because it's, like, from all of us, but there's no documented, our videos is as much
right.
document as we're going to have,
Yeah. But here's
Like,
what's
100 years
crazy.
from now, somebody's gonna watch, like, one of your YouTube videos and be like, we're doing carnivore, okay, it really helped."
Yeah.
You
Back
know?
then it was a weird thing, but hopefully by then it'll be a norm. But here's
Right.
here's the weird thing, as I'm studying and because I'm in the nutrition network course, we're learning a lot about the different new studies that have been done over the years. And we were just learning the other day about a study where they actually, I think it was American Heart Association, it might have been a paper or something that they did.
Mm,
They admitted that insulin resistance is the underlying cause of whatever it was they were studying. And in the paper, they admitted it was insulin resistance. But
okay.
in the recommendations, they didn't even address
No,
getting the insulin fixed.
no,
They recommended the DASH diet, which is full of carbs. They recommended drugs. So in the same paper, they said insulin resistance the underlying cause, but we're not going to address the insulin resistance. That's the science that the doctors are using, which is crazy.
yeah, I mean, like, well,
Yeah.
it just proves that one hand does not wash the other hand because, yeah, it's like one says the other thing and, exactly.
Mhm. Well, and the studies that didn't prove the hypothesis didn't even get published.
That's what I mean,
So
it's like,
yeah, there's a ton of studies out
it's a
there
little
that.
convenient if you ask me,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you want me to share a little bit of my story for people, anyone who
No,
doesn't know?
I want you to share a lot of your story.
a lot of my story.
Yes.
Okay.
I
So I'll
will
just
I will I will be quiet. If anybody does ask a
you can
question,
interrupt whenever
can you
you
see
want.
the chat? Can you see the chats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that
I can
way I
see.
don't have to interrupt you.
That's why I keep looking in that direction. I'm
Right.
looking at the chat comments. Yeah, I'm not looking at anybody,
Oh,
just the chat.
yes, you are. Dave's right over there. I hear him. Just kidding. Um,
So,
yeah, no,
yeah, so I
uh,
can give a little
I'm
background.
gonna be quiet. I'm gonna let you tell your story because I know it's a good one.
Yeah, and don't
I mean, it's
hesitate to interrupt.
I'm always gonna be afraid to interrupt, but, that's just
Oh,
me.
yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
So,
but I'll put the QQQ up if anything pops up or any questions pop up.
yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out in case there's any questions. But for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Lynn. I am 57 years old. I've been married to the same man for 35 years, and I have 3 adopted kids. My 35, 30, and 29, and 3.5 grandkids. My youngest daughter's pregnant with her first. And so I've had 2 careers. I was a corporate accountant, and then I became a nurse and got my bachelor's in nursing. And so I spent time working in a hospital, in critical care, and then I ended up transferring out to outpatients and worked in gastroenterology and hepatology. And that's where I was at when everything hit the fan and I had to go on disability. But my health problems date back. It took me about 35 years to get a diagnosis. So I was not an obese child or teenager. I was pretty healthy. I did have a bit of a traumatic event when I was 10, and I was a very sensitive child, and so this really impacted me. My grandmother was my best friend, and they live with us, and I don't share this a lot, so I'm sharing this here, but I was the one who found her when she had a massive stroke, and she ended up dying 3 days later. But I'm the one who found her laying unconscious in her room at our house. And
Sorry about that.
I yeah, I came from a family where a lot of times negative emotions were stuffed, and I also felt, this was my mom's mom, and I also felt as a child like I needed to be emotionally strong. I didn't ever see my mom or my dad cry, and I didn't see anybody cry. And
Mm,
so I stuffed the emotions. I also, nobody ever knew that I blamed myself for her dying. In my little 10-year-old brain, I found a way to blame
It's
myself
yeah.
because I used to come and visit and spend time with her every day after school, and we used to hang out together. And that day, I didn't. I went out and played with friends. Honestly, I probably had other days where I went out and played with friends, but in my little mind, I was like, "This is the only time I didn't at least pop in and see her," and that was the last. And so I thought in my mind, if I had been there when it happened, I could have it
You
could have saved her life. And in
Or
reality,
something in that realm, yeah.
yeah, and
I
in
mean, not to
reality, that was not the
yeah, I'm sorry
case.
to interrupt, but, I just wanna put this out there. Yeah, I found my mom passed dead when
Mm,
she was asleep, and I was an adult. She
mm,
died back in 2021, so I was a
mm,
full-fledged adult, and it was devastating to me, so I can just I no, I can't. I can't even imagine how a
yeah,
10-year-old would feel about, seeing her finding her grandmother. I mean, I mean, like, I'm filling up right now just thinking about it,
yeah. And it took me a lot of years to realize how that impacted me. And later I went back and asked my parents, "Did you notice a change in me after that?" And they said, "Yes." I really retreated inside myself, and because I was a very happy-go-lucky kid, and had never had any real distress in my life. I had a very stable, wonderful family, and the only negative was that we just didn't talk about negative emotions. Everything. My mom was very upbeat, and everything was positive. And so I did end up going into depression. It's at that time where I started doing a lot of writing and a lot of drawing and a lot of reading, and just became very studious. But I know that it impacted me hormonally, and it definitely impacted me in a lot of ways. And so, but despite that, I stayed relatively healthy until I was about 15. And then it was obvious my hormones were messed up. I started having issues with my menstrual cycle, and it just was kind of didn't last very long, but it was kind of a precursor to what was to come. Um, but I really started having problems in my 20s. Odd things, some things weren't so odd. I ended up getting diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, got married at age 22, met my husband, got married. And but then I started having really bad heat intolerance and an exercise intolerance. And I had been gaining weight because of the fertility problems. I'd been gaining weight. And I was before I started having problems, I'm 5'8". I weighed about 150 pounds, which was a normal, completely right in the middle of normal
Right.
for my
Yeah.
yeah, slender, never had a belly at all, had a completely flat stomach and no extra weight. And I starting to gain weight definitely didn't help my mental health either, because I definitely noticed the difference in how people treated me. And especially with trying to find jobs, I never, like, before every job I applied for, I got, because I was always very articulate. I was very mature for my age, and people wanted to hire me. And I noticed, like, nothing changed with my maturity, nothing changed with being articulate, but I'm assuming my confidence level decreased when I gained weight, and it changed. So I started to have a little trouble finding jobs. But
Right.
I ended up in the sciences, doing a lot in the sciences, had some weird jobs. You can ask Amy. I had a job where I had to cut off animals' heads, and I was a rabies control officer for my county. Did not
Well,
cut them
next time
off.
Amy's on here, I'll ask her.
She was surprised. She was surprised. In fact, since we have plenty of time. So when I met my
Oh yeah.
before I met my husband, we were at college together, but his dorm and my dorm were brother sister dorms. And at the beginning of the school year, we had a like a get to know each other type thing, icebreaker. And so they were asking us, share something that you've done that you don't think anyone else has done. And so my thing was, I had a job where I had to cut off animals' heads. And apparently the guy sitting next to my husband elbowed him and said, "Never make her mad." And we hadn't even met yet. That was the first thing, the first way when he actually took notice of me was from that. And so that was kind of funny. Amy says, "True story, Lynn is the weird job collector." Yeah, I know. I worked in an STD lab, where I had to process
Right.
specimens,
And I thought I had weird jobs.
all sorts of bodily fluids. I had another job where I was something called a cannery waste use site monitor. I lived in the Central Valley of California. We had a lot of tomato canneries, and there were these places where they would do things with the tomato waste. I had to go and with my little net and sweep and count flies and go through the waste and count maggots and report if there was any smells that were causing problems in the community. That I had that job too. So I had these weird jobs.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've always been a science nerd, to be honest. But yeah, so but I was so, like, when I started having these crazy, like, weird symptoms, like, I would get heat stroke symptoms very quickly being out in the heat. And then I was noticing too, when I would exercise, and of course I'd try to exercise, I was gaining weight and I thought that was going to help. And
Oh yeah.
restricting my eating. Like, I was eating 5 to 800 calories a day for almost the whole decade that I was in my 20s, but it wasn't meat, you know? It
Right.
was it was
And how'd that go for you?
it didn't do a blasted thing, honestly.
No.
I kept
Because you're
gaining
starving
weight.
yourself. That's why.
I
Yeah.
was starving myself and I wasn't eating the right foods.
Yeah.
And so I just continued to gain weight, and I was so caught up in just being married. We were going through fertility problems that I never even thought to seek out advice on, why am I having these symptoms? Why do I get so sick so quickly in the sun? And so I just brushed it off. And then I was starting to have panic attacks, and they'd hit me out of the blue. And I'd even when I was in deep sleep, I'd get woken up with a panic attack. So obviously, hormonally, neurotransmitters stuff was off with my body, but I just push through everything until I ended up having a complete breakdown in my early 30s and ended up in a psych hospital, and from severe anxiety. And I went through, a lot of therapy, and ended up in a partial hospitalization program, and then a couple years working with both a psychiatrist and a psychologist on lots of meds. Carrie's basket of his medications, mine looked like that too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
all sorts of different.
my meds never looked like that. I mean, Carrie's extreme, but I mean, I think we can both agree with that, that he had a lot of medications,
He
but
had a lot of medications, and when you got psych issues, that's not uncommon. And he had psych issues and cardiac issues and stuff. I didn't have the cardiac issues, but I was also working with a chiropractor who did kind of some alternative medicine, and so he had me on different supplements to try to help balance things out, and so I did pretty much recover from the psych issues for the most part. And I did the zone diet for a while, and I lost about 70 pounds in the zone diet. This was, before we adopted our first child. But then we ended up, all my fertility treatments never didn't work. We did artificial insemination 4 times. I had a laparoscopy, exploratory laparoscopy to try to figure out if there was something anatomically causing problems. The doctor couldn't find anything. And they put me on metformin because they figure, well, maybe it's they were just learning that metformin could help PCOS, but it didn't do nothing for me. It did nothing for me. So we ended up adopting, and we went through the foster care system. So we went through the FOSADOPT program, and our first child was our son. He was 4 when we got him, and I think we were his 9th home. And then a couple years later, we got our daughter. She was 5.5 at the time. We were her 12th home. And so these kids did not come without baggage.
of course not.
We did not know at the time how much abuse they had been through. And the social system didn't even know how much abuse they'd been through. So we went through a lot. And that was very stressful and probably contributed to my ending up in the psych hospital, because we had the first 2 at the time. And we'd had our daughter for about a year when I ended up with my breakdown. And so, I was trying to raise these special needs kids, trying to just maintain my job, and my, didn't understand what was going on with my health. And so, kind of fast forward into my 40s, things started to get real bad. I was a nurse at the time, and things started to get a lot worse, and started having more what I call attacks, kind of acute episodes,
Hmm.
and ended up in the ER quite a bit, and totally went to 17 different doctors just trying to figure out what was wrong, because I was starting to have some episodes that one of the neurologists that I saw said was a seizure. And it was not a severe, like, you're on the floor seizure. It was more in line with the like what they call an absence seizure, where you just zone out. So it was kind of a specific type of that type of seizure where my brain would just go into another place. It was almost like an out of body
Right.
experience. Yeah.
Like,
And
would you call it like a nervous breakdown almost?
no, no, because I'd already had that. So I knew the difference between that.
I'm sure you would
It
have
was
known the difference. I just my
Yeah,
mom actually
no.
had, when she was like 15, she had a really bad nervous breakdown.
Mm.
And she told about it and stuff like that, but she like was like for a long time she was.
The nervous breakdown, the real defining characteristic for me was my anxiety had gotten to the point where irrationally I was convinced that I was going to die.
Yeah.
And I couldn't explain why. I just knew that I was going to die,
Yeah.
because part of my anxiety was basically I was a hypochondriac, like a
Yeah.
severe
Yeah,
hypochondriac.
my mom was sort of the same way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like from what my grandfather tells me, but my grandmother was very wasn't a very nice lady. She was like
Mm.
the devil incarnate. I love, like as a
Oh,
grandmother, I loved
wow.
her, but she was like the devil incarnate.
I'm
And
so sorry.
actually, you're going to find this. It's interesting. My mom was adopted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they were older. My mom was adopted, like, when she was, like, a few weeks, like, or however, like, whatever the youngest age
Yeah,
is to be adopted, that's how old my mom was,
yeah.
and we actually remember exactly her original mom's last name. So, she actually wanted to find her real mom, but, my sister didn't like it, so she's like, "Oh," like, "I won't d if Carrie doesn't want me to do it, I won't do it,"
Mm.
type thing.
It's risky,
Yeah,
you know,
and,
you're walking into something that you don't really know what you're walking
well,
into.
she thinks she actually did meet her one time because one day she was walking through New York, and, it's just like when she before I was born, before Carrie was born, everybody, and if I wasn't born, obviously Carrie wouldn't be born because she's younger than me, but, she's walking in New York and some lady, like, that looks almost like her, just a little bit older, like a couple of 'cause she was young, she was supposedly 13 when she had my mom, so
Oh, wow.
she wasn't that much older, and, she's walking around, and all of a sudden this lady sees my mom, and perfect stranger, and starts bawling in at my mom,
Oh, so
and
she
my mom
must have
she
known.
she thinks that that lady was her mother.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, she probably saw right
Wow.
away.
Well
So,
well, my kids have, met birth family, and, they have separate birth families. They were not siblings,
yeah,
but they've
I mean, they are
and
now, but they weren't then.
yeah, my
Yeah,
son,
yeah,
his didn't go well,
yeah.
and I've got a more of another story with my daughter meeting hers because we ended up adopting one of her siblings, and so this was much later. So we didn't raise her, but, they connected in 27 well, let's see, yeah, 2017, and this was her older full sister. She was like one of 8 kids, but only 4 of them had the same mother and father. So of the 4, Catherine was the oldest, and my daughter Shaylee was the youngest. And they met, and Catherine had no association with her birth parents at all, and started calling us mom and dad. And we ended up legally adopting her as an adult. She was already married, had 2 kids, and we ended up legally adopting her as when she was 29, and she's the one who's 35 now, and now has 3 kids. But yeah, but my son, when he met his both of his birth parents, and neither of them went well for him. So I felt really bad about that, but he orchestrated it himself and took the risk,
Yeah.
and he ended up very hurt by at least the birth dad. The birth mom, he chose to not connect with her because she was kind of crazy, but the birth dad, he backed off. So it's sad,
Yes.
but yeah. So no, I appreciate adoptive parents,
I
and
do.
I
I
and
mean, I
yeah,
thought for a long time I always wanted to adopt, but, I always also wanted to be married before I did that because
yeah,
it's not easy for a single guy to to adopt, but, I just
yeah.
figured
But there's so many kids out there that need a good home that they are single parents are allowed, especially when you deal with kids in the foster care
yeah.
system.
Yeah, right now,
You know,
though, I have so many things I'm dealing with for myself that,
right, right,
maybe
exactly.
maybe in a few years when things get a little different for me, but
That'd be
right
awesome.
now
Yeah,
I'm down the road, yeah, to help somebody out.
yeah.
Um,
But,
so I'm gonna ask a question, but I'm very bad with
sure.
names. You said you had a thing called
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
okay, don't expect me to know that again.
That's okay.
What exactly is that? Because there might be people in the chats that don't even know what that is. So, would you be able to tell, like, a little bit
Sure.
about what that entails, like, what that is exactly?
Yeah, sure. It's, the underlying cause of it is hormonal imbalances, and we know now that a real underlying cause is insulin resistance. But what it does, and as you know, with insulin resistance, different people, it can affect different organ systems in different ways. And there may be some genetic tendency one way or the other. But with polycystic ovarian syndrome, your two of your hormones get flip flopped. So with women, they have one hormone that grows the egg inside of the ovary. they have another hormone that triggers it to release down into the fallopian tubes
Right,
in
right,
anticipation of maybe have a baby, or if not, we'll do another one next month, right?
right.
So what happens is there's these hormones are flip-flopped as far as their how much of it you have. So you have not enough of the hormone that no, sorry, you have too much hormone that grows the eggs and not enough hormone that releases the eggs. So you grow more eggs than you should. I mean, normally it's one a month. Some people do two. Jen Man must have done three, but
Great example. Okay.
is an example, yes, which she's got fraternal triplets, so
Right.
3 eggs, right?
Uh,
So, yeah, so with this, you have too much of the hormone that grows the egg. So lots of eggs and not enough to release them. So they just keep growing and they form cysts inside the ovaries. And they're very painful. It also causes a lot of other issues as far as menstrual dysregulation. You can have women who they will go months without having a cycle, and then all of a sudden you'll have a big, heavy, or very long one. My longest one lasted 11 months, and I was losing my mind literally because it was never ending. And you can have other issues with your hormones, with like male pattern balding, something called hirsutism, where you get like male pattern hair growth, weight gain. There's a lot of other hormonal things that your body changes. So this is called PCOS, and of course, infertility is results for a lot of people because if you can't release an egg, nothing's there to get fertilized. And it's becoming more and more common. It used to be decades ago that they didn't really know anything about it, except it made women miserable. And my sister-in-law actually had it, and they did a hysterectomy with her. And by the time I came around to getting diagnosed, it was like, "Yeah, okay, you're getting it on birth control pills because that will at least regulate your cycle and make it so you're not in so much pain, because there's a lot of pain with it." And and then they learned that metformin can help, and with a lot of women it does, which is addressing the insulin. At least it's addressing the glucose. Yeah.
Don't speak
So
like me.
yeah. So anyway, so that's what PCOS is, and it's so, so, so common. It's becoming more and more common, but it's something to be aware of for women. But the underlying way to treat it is the same as what we're doing for everything. For your diabetes, for everything else that it's the underlying way to
Well,
address it is to get the carbs out of your diet.
I mean, it kind of goes with. I was talking. Actually, she's here now. Carnivore Helix. I was on one of her lives yesterday. She was doing a drawing, and she was actually drawing Rick's, Charger Mopar. She was drawing a duck on a Charger, Dodge Charger,
Oh,
and it was cute. And I said that she should show it to him, but we were talking, and I said that I mostly for the longest time I drew trees. I think I've told you guys this story before. I drew trees, and it was weird later on. I didn't realize at the time that I was drawing all these trees. Sometimes I draw like gloomy trees, and sometimes I'd be feeling a little bit better. I'd draw a tree that was really beautiful. But
mhm.
most of the time, I just draw a tree, and I associate it with one of two things. I associate trees with carnivore, and I associate trees with insulin resistance.
Mm,
Because to me, insulin resistance is the trunk of the tree. And in all the branches, and then those branches have little bitty branches because,
mhm.
is everything that can happen, kidney
Yeah,
failure, all this stuff that can happen with having insulin resistance streams from
yeah.
the tree. And one's a gloomy tree, and the other and then the other one, carnivore, is all the things carnivore at the base, and all the things that have
It's
been
life.
helped, you know,
Yeah, all the
and
things that have been helped.
that's how I associate
Mhm.
it,
In reality, it's probably more, if you wanna do the tree analogy, it's probably the insulin resistance is probably the roots. And a lot of people end up with one major illness that ends up triggering other illnesses.
Yeah.
You hear about people, they have like their primary illness, and then that leads, I mean, once you get metabolically unhealthy, it's like a domino.
Yeah.
One thing happens, and then next thing you know, you got more and more issues.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I think I associate the roots with what brought me here, what brought me the insulin
Mm,
resistance,
mhm.
and to
Like the
me,
diet
that's
and the
exactly.
lifestyle.
It's the
Mhm.
lifestyle that we were living that really planted the
I like
roots,
that. Yeah, they
and
grew the tree.
then sprout the tree of insulin
Yeah,
resistance,
I like that.
you
I
know?
like that.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
I mean, originally, when I thought of it, I thought of it for diabetes itself. But
Mm,
then as I'm learning, as I'm growing, with the community and everything like that, and I think I am growing a little bit, um, it changed because I thought to myself like, "Well, no, insulin resistance brings on the diabetes." So,
right.
and when I watched, Stan Ekberg, I'm not sure if he's a doctor or not. I think he might be a holistic doctor, but he used to be a triathlon runner
Mhm.
or something,
Mhm.
and he has this video out, or it's probably like 5, 6 years now, but he has this video where he shows on when you're like your insulin resistance, as your insulin resistance is raising, and it's never being checked. So, it's like, it's like that one guy that gets past the bouncer and the bouncer never notices the guy. But as soon as the sugars go up and they notice the sugars, then they look at that. But
Mhm.
the insulin resistance is rising way before the sugars even are, you
Right,
know?
right.
So, like,
And there's people who, as a your body's protective mechanism, instead of going on the diabetes route, you go on the route of putting on weight. And not that people who are diabetics don't put on weight, but they tend to go to diabetes earlier. Whereas someone like me, I was in my early 50s before I ended up even pre-diabetic,
right.
because my body was one of those that it's like, okay, we're going to cope by storing everything as fat, and you're going to get really, really heavy. And so I didn't end up even being diabetic, but I ended up eventually pre-diabetic, but that took a long time. So the underlying insulin resistance was there for
Yeah,
a very long time. And we
yeah.
know now that,
I
that
mean
that's
I
a
mean,
known thing.
it would to me, it would be so cool if like, it's I mean, obviously standard like, when I got tested, I mean, how I actually got tested, it's sort of, I guess, a fascinating story, but I was coming home from work, and at that time, I'd go right to Burger King, and I was tired, I hardly ate that whole day, so I would go and I get, like, a supersized Dr. Pepper. I got like 2 chicken sandwiches and the meals because you have to get the
Mhm,
meals, get
mhm.
like, and they were supersized. And then I have like a Hershey Sunday pie and everything. But which is why I make the joke like Dr. Pepper has made me found out I was diabetic because I'm like at home. I'm at home. I was living with my aunt at the time, but I'm at home and I start feeling a pain in my left arm going straight at
Mm,
my left arm, like a really bad, like I couldn't even move my arm. That's how.
mm,
And I don't know exactly how it works, but I heard association that if you have a pain in your left arm, that could be a heart issue. So I got a
mhm.
little nervous, and I'm only 30 years old, and I got a little nervous, and I'm like, maybe I should I am through a lot of stress. I was managing my own store at the time, and I'm like, maybe I should get it checked. Like get like if I am having a heart attack, maybe I should go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital,
Yeah,
did an EKG on me. Nothing was found. Everything was fine. But I told the nurse, I said, I was like, "Yeah, I was just coming home and I just went to Burger King." And she's like, "Well, what'd you have?" And I told her exactly what I had. And she's like, "You had a supersized Dr. Pepper?" She's like, "Let me check something." So she pricked my finger, checked the blood sugar, 395. No,
oh,
398. I'm sorry, 398.
wow.
So she's like, I can't really say, she's like, I can't really say much to you, but I would go check your doctor out and ask, you know, and we'll send him the results. And it ended up,
Yeah.
and it's funny, my primary doctor is like, well, we don't know if you're diabetic or not. Maybe we should look at it again. We have no idea. Like, he's denying it,
Well,
you know? And so I went to an endocrinologist that my mom's boss recommended because she had prenatal diabetes, or she did when she was pregnant. And, she had her own doctor. He was a nice guy. Dr. Cannon, his name was. And he's like, dude, you're 398. You're diabetic.
yeah. People who aren't diabetic don't get that high.
No.
Yeah. That means that that's a pancreas that
Yeah.
isn't
He's
working.
like, your doctor should never, your primary should never have told you that. And like, okay. Which is probably what led to me of like not really trusting everything a doctor says.
Yeah.
Not taking everything with a grain of salt. Like not saying that I don't trust them to a certain point, but to kind of be like, okay, let me if something doesn't make sense to me, I
Yeah.
question
And it's okay to say why. Like, if
Yeah,
this doesn't make sense, they're saying, "Oh, we don't know if you're diabetic." Like,
yeah.
well, why
And
are you
and
saying that?
when I saw Sarah Hallberg, God rest her soul, when I saw her and she did that TED Talk about how fat lowers or doesn't even touch insulin resistance and sugar, and where carbs raise it, that that was the seed that was planted
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that led me to be like, you know, um, carnivore makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
For me, carnivore is logical.
Yeah.
And then when you get other information, it's kind of like breaks the pieces. Like in the beginning, I'm like, well, I keep on hearing about cholesterol, and like I kind of told myself in the beginning, I'm like, well, I'm not really worried about that. I'm just worried about the diabetes. And so I maybe my ignorance was kind of like helping me out a little bit. But I just kind of just went. But then I started learning like wait, this doesn't like the question I had come up with like I had found this stuff out from Dr. Kiltz, and he said one time, he's like, yeah, like about 80% of your liver makes cholesterol. It produces it to go through.
It makes 80% of what you need,
Right.
just without
But my
anything in the
question is
diet.
this, okay, and I hate to, I hope I don't ruin anything for religion, people that are like believe are really religious and stuff like that, because I'm not trying to. But if God is a smart man and he created us, why would he put something in our bodies that's going to kill us? Think about it. If we're producing it,
Didn't.
but
Right.
well, that's my point. Like people are
Yeah.
keep on thinking like, oh, cholesterol's bad. You need to lower cholesterol.
Right.
You know, Well, why would God make it where we're producing what's killing us?
I think
He's
that when
making us
people
have our own poison.
that, a lot of it is out of ignorance because they
Oh,
really
it
don't
is.
even know that we produce our own cholesterol
Right.
independent of
Oh,
diet.
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
Now
just like they don't know we produce our own glucose
right.
independent of diet.
Now, I mean, we could probably put an allowance to people like regular schmoes like me
Right.
but
But doctors,
when a doctor should know. A doctor
I
should
agree.
know a little bit about the anatomy. I'm sorry.
I agree, and that's why I hold doctors to a higher level of accountability for all of the garbage that they share, because they should know. And part of one thing that we are that's drilled into us in nursing school, and I know it's gotta be in medical school too, is critical thinking.
Yeah.
We are taught to think critically and not just to take things at face value. And then they turn around and they just trust everything they're told. And part of it is I think it's because they're too busy. They get kept completely busy, and they a lot of them don't have time to do a lot of research. Oh
Alright.
yeah,
So
we'll talk about that. Let me finish wrap up my story because I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
quite.
Definitely
Yeah,
wrap that up, but I'll leave this
yeah,
on here. We already
yeah,
know.
leave
I'm
it
gonna
out.
take this off.
Yeah.
Your
So,
memory's a lot better than mine, so
yeah, so we were talking about how I started having these more acute episodes, and I had gained a ton of weight, and I felt bad all the time, but I had just pushed through. I learned to push through. And but it kept getting worse as I got into my 50s, and I finally in 2022 got a diagnosis. of mast cell activation syndrome. And it took me a while to get the diagnosis. I had an ER doctor that tested my serum tryptase levels when I went and had a throat swelling episode. And so when I would have these, so with mast cell activation syndrome, there's kind of like a baseline of how you feel from day to day, and it's basically you feel terrible, and you always feel like you know how you feel when you're coming down with the flu, but it hasn't quite fully hit. That's kind of how you feel every day. That like really low energy. You feel like you're on the verge of being really sick. A lot of times, all like the body aches and the pains kind of start to set in. You know, and then everything was not working very well. Like I was having heart palpitations. I was couldn't get a deep breath. Like I was like I you know how like when you try to breathe and it just feels like it stops like right here instead of going all the way down. Couldn't get a deep breath. You've seen my skin, horrible
Yeah.
rosacea,
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
and all the pain was down into my bones, which I understood after I got the diagnosis, because mast cells are created in your bone marrow, and my bone marrow was not doing its job with creating these crazy dysfunctional mast cells. But then and my bladder, I had a lot of bladder irritability, and my bladder would just release its contents with no warning, which was horribly embarrassing. And my gut was always cramping. I was in a lot of gut pain, a lot, especially when I'd start to have more of an acute attack. It was I didn't realize, even as a nurse, I didn't realize anaphylaxis. There's levels of anaphylaxis. And so when we hear about anaphylaxis, you think of the worst level, like where your throat completely closes, like a bee sting reaction or a peanut reaction for these people with really severe reactions where you need to like stab yourself with an EpiPen or you're going to die. Well, that's stage 4 anaphylaxis. There are 3 stages prior to stage 4. And I was experiencing consistently stage 2 and sometimes spilling into stage 3 of anaphylaxis. And so I would have, when I'd have an acute reaction and they would just hit me out of nowhere, I could just be sitting relaxing. All of a sudden, my throat would start to swell, my heart rate would go through the roof. And then, I'd take a Benadryl, I'd call 911, go unlock the front door, and then sit and wait. And, the EMT would come and my blood pressure would be at stroke level. And I know the first time they came and they measured it, it was 220 over 120. And they're like, okay, we're taking you to the ER.
Holy
And
cow.
yeah, my heart rate was like, I don't even remember how high it was. It was really high, and it was scary. It was really, the throat swelling too is so scary. And, but yeah, so that trip, the ER doctors measured took a bunch of tests, especially for allergies because of the throat swelling, and all the allergy tests came back negative, but this serum tryptase test came back elevated. And that could be a reaction, a mast cell reaction. And so he's the one who said, hey, go take a look, go see an allergist, immunologist, and kind of look into this. But it took quite a few years. And then they also did a genetic test where I had to do a cheek swab, and I tested, that showed I have a related condition called hereditary alpha tryptosemia, where my mast cells, and so just to explain a little bit about mast cell activation syndrome, your mast cells are part of your immune system.
Mhm.
And just like insulin, like it does a job, we need it,
Right.
right? It's important. But when it's not doing its job properly, that's when we end up with problems. It's the same thing with mast cells.
Okay.
When it's behaving appropriately, it's good and they'd serve us. Mine were not behaving appropriately. And so mast cells are known for having a ton of, and I've heard a variety of numbers. I've heard hundreds, I've heard thousands, but they are full of chemical mediators. And so what their part of their job is, when there's something foreign in your body, they release chemical mediators out into your system to recruit your immune system to go and attack that foreign thing. So one of them, which is the one that people know most frequently, is histamine. it produces a lot of histamine, but it produces other things too. It produces heparin. It produces a whole bunch of different mediators. Tryptase is one of them. So when my mast cells release their contents, I have extra copies of tryptase. And each little mediator causes symptoms, certain symptoms. So there's certain symptoms that I have that are just specifically from the tryptase. There's others that are from the histamine. There's others that are from the heparin, which is a blood thinner. So mine are dysfunctional. So they were releasing their contents when there was no real threat. And that's why I was having these reactions. At least I didn't think there was a threat. And the doctor didn't think there was a threat. And so it was scary. So the doctor, I found so and so my tryptase levels were pretty high. And so I ended up having to have a bone marrow biopsy because with mast cell disease, there's a couple different types. So they need to figure out what type I have. When you have high tryptase, it may be a more serious type called systemic mastocytosis. So they needed to find out on a bone marrow level which one I had. So that was not fun. It wasn't horrible. They sedated me. So it wasn't super painful, but they ruled out the systemic mastocytosis and said, okay, you've got mast cell activation syndrome and you've got hereditary alpha tryptosemia. The doctor gave me 3 different medications and said, come back and see me in 3 months if you don't feel better. Didn't really educate me. And at the time I was working in GI and hepatology, and it was during the pandemic. I was working from home because I had been able to work from home, and I was working from home 1 day a week prior to the pandemic. And then pandemic happened. They sent all the nurses that could work from home, they sent us home. And then like in March of 2020, and then in June of 2020, they started bringing some patients back in for us to see, and they'd have one of us at a time come back and see the patient. So when it was my turn, I had an anaphylactic reaction from the heat of my breath from wearing a mask. And because I was that sensitive, heat was my biggest trigger,
Yeah.
which explained why I was having the reactions when I was in my 20s to heat. But then it wasn't throat swelling. Then it was more like heat stroke. And so, yeah, so I had a reaction from seeing, patients with masking up. And my boss said, go home. And so the rest of the pandemic, I worked from home. And then so that was my schedule when I got diagnosed. And but I ended up getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker after I ended up getting an abscess on my chest that got infected. And they put me on a couple courses of antibiotics, and then I had to go get it drained, and it tunneled to my sternum. And so I had to go like every other day, get it packed and drained. And the infection set my mast cell disease just out of control. And I was working and trying to help patients with pain, with bladder problems, with gut, cramping, nausea, and I was pushing through. But then when my brain stopped working, that's when I knew I wasn't safe as a nurse anymore, because I started having my brain would freeze. I couldn't get my words out. So I'd be slurring my words, or the wrong word would come out, or a non-word would come out of my mouth. And at that point I knew I'm not safe anymore to work as a nurse. Because even when working from home, I was doing a ton of patient assessment over the phone, and there were seriously ill patients that, I
Yeah.
mean, needed to go to the ER. Some of them, especially with the pandemic, there was a lot of people who would be suicidal, or people would be afraid to go to the ER because of the pandemic, and would be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
one woman called me, and her husband was basically bleeding out on the bed but wouldn't go to the ER because he was afraid he was going to get COVID. And I mean, it was hard. It was really stressful dealing with patients during the pandemic. And then I had this medical condition. So, yeah, so I ended up having to go on medical leave. And that was in June of 22. And I spent almost a whole year getting worse and worse and worse and gaining weight. So my top weight was somewhere between 350 and 360. Um, and I couldn't do anything because I was having reactions probably 3 to 4 times a week. Um, I dug in with my science brain. I dug in and I found everybody that I could find, that doctor that claimed to be an expert on mast cell activation syndrome. There's 4 places in the US that have experts that treat it. They're all in your area in the eastern part of the United
Oh,
States.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So the doctor who did the bone marrow biopsy was an oncologist, and he wanted to refer me to Stanford down in California, and found out they don't even deal with MCAS. And so I ended up finding a naturopathic doctor that had treated a couple MCAS patients before and was willing to learn and more. And so I kind of had that doctor that was helping me. But my regular doctor, I started to learn about histamine. And so I went to the regular doctor. I said, "So should I be on a low histamine diet?" And his response was, "Well, you can if you want." And to me, that told me I don't need to see you anymore because
I
because you
already
don't
figured
know.
it out for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even know anything. And he admitted to me that in his 20 plus years that he'd been in his specialty, I was only the second person he'd ever diagnosed with it. So I'm like, obviously, this is not the doctor I need to be seeing. And so I just dug in and learned everything I could. One of the foremost doctors that treats MCAS, he
Mhm.
basically explains it that you tend to not die from MCAS. You just wish you would, because it's so miserable. And I completely agree. Now, people with hereditary alpha tryptosemia that have often, they're the ones that often will get really severe anaphylactic reactions and can die. And fortunately for me, my mast cells only produce 2 extra copies of tryptase, but there's people who get produce 3 and 4, and the more extra copies you produce, the more likely you are to have life-threatening anaphylactic reactions. So I'm very thankful that mine is not worse, because it could be. Um, but so it was end of May of 2023 that my husband came to me. He had found Amanda from Carnivorous Me, and said, "You need to watch her." And I had known about the carnivore diet, and I thought it was just weight loss. And I had been on it in 2021 to try to lose weight because I didn't get the COVID shot, and I knew that my daughter was going to bring it home because she was working with kids and around a lot of people. And so my motivation was to lose some weight and to try to get myself at least in as good a condition as I could get for when I did get COVID. And I was right. She brought it home, and I breezed through it, took care of her, took care of my husband. They had it worse than I did. I had been on some anaphylactic stuff. I had been on hydroxychloroquine. I'd made sure my vitamin D levels were up and all that. So I flew through it. Great energy, no problem. But whatever happened to Amanda, I'll definitely get to that. I'm going to quickly wrap this up, and
Oh,
I'll
so you
definitely share.
know. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I do know, because I met her. I went to one early on. I went to one of her meetups and met her and stuff, and had been connected with her a little bit. But yeah, so he came to me, and it was her videos that showed me that this is not just about weight loss, that this is healing. And so I just told my husband, "If you do it with me, I will do it again." And then I decided to start my channel just to hold myself accountable. So I started Midlife Carnivore, put myself out there, told at that point I'd lost a little bit of weight. So I wasn't 350-ish, 360 when I started. I was just under 340. I think I was 340 probably or a little bit more. And by the time I did my channel, a few days after I started carnivore, and I was just under 340. But that started my journey, and the carnivore community showed up for me in ways I never anticipated.
Yeah.
And I started healing right away. Like by day 3, my inflammation was like, my body pain was practically gone. My abdominal bloating and pain was gone. I had that amazing empty feeling that was just wonderful. Like you feel light even though you're heavy, and things started happening quickly. But about 4 months in, I realized I'd forgotten all about histamine. And I started doing a histamine video for my channel and realized, wait a minute, there's high histamine carnivore foods. And I had been completely ignoring that. And my rosacea was terrible. The picture that I usually show of really how horrible my rosacea was, that was still like 4 months into carnivore. And so I went a low histamine lion diet. And that's what really turned the corner. And with my symptoms. So I'd gone from having, and with all the learning I did, I learned, like I have an EpiPen, have never used it, but I learned that I can take a couple of over the counter antihistamines, an H1 and H2, pop them real quick when my throat starts to swell, and it would stop it. So I had my rescue medications, but I was still needing to use them. Um, Even on carnivore, it got to be like maybe a couple times a month where I was still needing to use them.
Mm.
So lion diet is what turned it so that I didn't even need to use those anymore. Like I stopped having those reactions completely. And I think one time I had an environmental thing that caused it. I think one time early this year, I had accidentally broke a fast with hamburger that had been sitting in the fridge for too long. And I ended up needing to use it, but that was my stupid mistake. Yeah.
No, we
But
all
then it
do
was,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And
We're
so
not
that's,
perfect.
no, and through my channel is how I ended up getting connected with Healing Humanity. It's just been unbelievable since then. They filmed me in June, for the documentary. Now I'm part
I
of
can't
Healing
wait.
Humanity Life.
Can't wait.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait either. And I'm not watching it. Now, Adam and Carrie have watched the whole raw footage.
Well, I just can't
I
wait for the whole movie, but yeah, your part
Yeah.
too. I mean, like,
I told them I'm not going to watch it until they officially premiere it at Montello Theater, and because they're going to have as much cast there as they can and have a Q&A afterwards.
right.
So if you come to that one,
No,
that's where my
unfortunately, no, I can't afford
first
it.
yeah, my first response and my first reaction will be there. But yeah, so
Unless he
Amanda.
gives it to me for a birthday gift, I'm not, or
Oh
something.
my gosh. Yeah, yeah. As many people as can come, I'd love it. But
Yeah. Like
but
the only one I'm
Amanda.
really focused on is Hack Your Health for next year because it gives
Oh,
me
good.
well,
You're going to come.
it gives me well, I bought the tickets. So,
Excellent.
well, tickets. I
Excellent.
mean, I'm only one person. Why would I buy more than one ticket? Um, yeah, so I'm gonna do that. I just have to save up for hotel,
Yeah.
airfare, and I'm gonna. Hey, let's be honest here. I'm not gonna go there and not want to get anything, you know. So let's have some
Yeah.
safety money, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
you know, I
Absolutely.
mean
So
that would be.
I'll answer the question about Amanda, though. I don't want to forget to add
Oh,
to
no, no
that.
problem.
So
You know, yeah, because the timer for so we have about 20 minutes
oh,
left.
okay. Okay, cool. So Amanda ended up getting, basically, bullied, and unfortunately, we don't know 100% for sure who it was, but that what I gathered is it was from people within the carnivore community, which was incredibly sad. Um, and I she just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, not that I don't know where she's at with carnivore itself, but she couldn't do her channel anymore, and her channel had grown like crazy. I think it's got over 100,000 still, and she had been holding monthly meetups locally, and I'd gone to one of her meetups, and but she had her mental health was affected by it, and I know mental health was something that she still struggled with, and so she pulled back, and she has come out saying she's going to be back, but I'm just kind of not. I'm guessing she's still struggling. I've been thinking recently of trying to reach out to her, but the last time I tried to reach out to her, I didn't get a response. So I think she's just,
Yeah, she might need time and stuff. Yeah.
mhm,
Um,
yeah. I feel
but,
bad because she was
but
really one of the
it's
big influencers.
it's not an not an uncommon thing though. You know, it seems like it can be stressful. You know, I mean, I think we
Mhm.
all you know, and if you have you know if you have anxiety and stuff like that, issues and stuff like
Yeah,
that, it can be even worse. I mean, look at Kip. You know, he sort of you know like you know he changed his name and everything like that because of comments he was getting.
yeah. You
You
got to have
know,
a thick skin to be
and
on YouTube.
I've been knock on wood, I've been super lucky with my channel. You
It'll
know,
it'll
I mean,
eventually happen.
yeah, I mean, I get them. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I've just been lucky enough not to get them in such a way that you know. But there were a couple times I'd have a few people on there. I was like, I think I even like wrote Carrie an email about a couple of things.
Mm.
So,
I usually just delete the
well,
comments
now I do. Yeah.
unless they seem like they're seriously inquiring. But I had one that I had to play with, to be honest. I had, somebody,
Have
I
a
think
little
it was
fun
a
with them.
guy. I had a little fun. It was fun for me at least, but I was sharing some results and everything, and this dude, I don't know if he really even watched the video, but he made a comment like, "She's overweight." So I'm like, "Did you even see the before?" You know? But I didn't say that. I said, "No, I'm obese. My goal is to be overweight."
Right.
And because I'm
I
like,
wish I
"Get
could.
it
I wish
right."
I could be.
Oh yeah, he was starting to throw out some data and all
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, "Listen, if you're gonna throw out data, you better get you better be right about your calling me overweight, because I'm not even in the overweight. I've lost almost 140 pounds, and I'm like 4 pounds away
Yeah.
from being overweight."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, really.
"Mhm,
No, I can't I can't give carnivore credit for this, but I used to be 379 at one time. And
wow.
now I'm about 240, I think it is, you know?
Mhm,
So, I've been rate since carnivore, I, like, kind of go up and down between 240 and 250,
mhm.
but let's just say 240, so that's a lot of weight loss, but
It is.
I'm still considered overweight, I'm still considered obese,
Right. Oh,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
I mean
I'm supposed to be like, the top end of normal for me at 5'8" is supposed to be 165 pounds. And I don't know if I'm gonna get there or not. I don't whatever. I mean, I feel like if I stopped like, right now, my last time I weighed in was yesterday. I just hopped on the scale and it was like 202. 198 is the cutoff for going from obese to overweight. So I'm not morbidly obese anymore, but I don't know if I'm going to get to 165 pounds. We'll see.
Yeah,
I've got
and
extra
you know what?
skin.
I'm fine if I don't.
If I don't, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Because
function
healing on
fine.
everything else is so astronomical. I still have issues, but you know what I think a lot of the issues I have is connected to, again, to insulin resistance.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that when my sugars are high, my depression is worse.
Mm,
I just have moments, I just can't help it, I just have moments, like, I'm in the chats, and I'm, like, looking, and I'm like that's why I don't really ask questions.
mm,
In the chats, because a lot of times I'll ask a question and it never gets answered, and it's not that I care that it gets answered or not, because there's so many questions out there, it's hard for you, but it's almost like, "Okay, another question that wasn't answered." Or somebody else, like,
mm.
I'll, like, say I ask, a question that would pertain to fertility. So who would be the best person to answer that question? It would be Dr. Kiltz, right? So say I
Right.
asked Dr. Kiltz a direct question about something. Now I'm not gonna ask about fertility because last time I checked, I can't have babies. But, um, but he's just the only person I can think of, or a heart question, Dr. Avelia,
Australia, yeah.
and I direct it to them. Now all of a sudden everybody else in the chats is answering my question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
then I
so you
think a
don't
lot
know
of
if
times in
they're
the panels, you
reliable or
guys
not.
see that the question was answered, so it's like, "Okay, well, we don't have to answer it. Somebody else answered it." You know? So
Yeah.
so the question gets missed,
And
So I'm like
there's an endless supply of questions and a limited amount of time. So,
Yeah.
and I'll
I
answer
don't have that, issue because
yeah,
no
and I'll
one at
answer
they ever
Lizzie's question, and then yeah, I'll answer Lizzie's question, and then I'll go back to Lewis's about the membership
Oh,
site.
yeah.
Yeah, so Lizzie's question about, can a histamine reaction be hives I catch every 3 months I take over the counter? Absolutely. That's one of the classic histamine reactions. And, so not everybody that has histamine reactions has mast cell activation syndrome. You can have histamine intolerance, or you can have a true allergy. And so it's weird because the way it presents, it can present very similar because it's all a histamine issue. But an allergy is different than a mast cell or just a basic histamine intolerance issue. Histamine, you could have, there's an enzyme that breaks down histamine in the body called DAO. Some
Mhm.
people, their DAO is slow. So the more histamine you are exposed to, sometimes your DAO can't keep up. And the way histamine works, and the analogy I usually share is everyone has their individual histamine bucket, which for each person is a different size. And so the more you're exposed to histamine, like through your diet, the bucket fills. And you don't have a single symptom typically until it overflows. And so there's a lot of people that'll be like, hey, I can eat this all the time. And then all of a sudden, one time I ate it and I had this reaction. It's because that was probably the final drop that overflowed the bucket. And that's when you have the symptoms. And so in order to drain the bucket, you just have to avoid, the things that are higher in histamine. But you can have a histamine reaction from things in your environment, you know, that's like me. I was the sun, and it wasn't even heat, always heat. Like, so we moved from California to Washington. I'd be out on a sunny day in Washington, it'd be 70 degrees, and just the UV rays from the sun I'd have a reaction. So it's not, it's weird. Your body, there's a bunch of things that can trigger a histamine reaction. It's not always diet. Yeah. And then you would have more muscle now. Yes, exactly. And then for Lewis's question, he wanted me to talk about Healing Humanity Life.
Yeah.
Um, so just to give a little background with the documentary, the discussion started obviously before the site started, but you know, Adam Lacey, who's Carrie's partner in crime,
Partner in crime, like Amy is to
is
you. Yes.
very proactive in his thinking, and so he's always trying to anticipate for the future. And so we know how many people need help, and the carnivore community is growing and there's more people looking into it. But the thought was, once the documentary is out, we want to be able to help people who are wanting to look into it after seeing the documentary. And so the membership site was started by Adam. They asked me to be his co-site administrator. And so we kind of worked on it. He did all the technical stuff. He's the tech guy. And we've worked on it together to build the site. And we have a lot of Zoom calls, and it's in growth mode. You were one of our original, were you one of our original beta testers?
No, that was Lewis
No.
was, but I wasn't.
Oh, Lewis was. Yeah. Yeah. So we had a
I benefited in other ways with you guys, but,
group of 100, yeah, beta testers and stuff. And so it's the site is growing. We have a lot of plans for the future, but one of the keys is that and it's not free. We do have coupons so people can check it out for half off, but part of the proceeds, a good portion of the proceeds from the membership, goes towards the documentary. And for people generally know, it is a crowd-funded documentary, and we rely on donations in order to fund it. And so it's and anybody who wonders, my husband is the line producer for the documentary, and he handles the finances. And so Carrie truly he doesn't take a cent.
yeah,
He
no,
yeah, the funds are managed very well. And so the documentary, the site is just another way of helping to raise funds and to help people. Um, so we have a drawing on Thursdays on Carrie's Thursday Q&A panel. We have a drawing for a free month, so people can check it out. But there's always a coupon for half off, and
yeah,
it's $30 a month. And anybody who's looking for a way of doing a recurring donation, and they want to, and without having GoFundMe take their little percentage out, you know, it's a way of having a recurring donation. Sign up and
right,
support us that way, and then you can get something out of it too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, and, and I mentioned how I wanna help too, and you gave me an option, which we'll talk about later on,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but, yeah, I just, it's funny, I was just like, I just wanna make this, like, little joke, not to your expense, but, like, I'm doing, like, because I have, like, everybody, like, I have people from I call it HHL because it's the initials HHL,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then, from SBG and then from Kilts, and so far, you guys are the winner of how many people I've interviewed that, like, are even of people, like, that would be considered coaches or
Yeah.
staff.
Oh,
Like,
I'm glad to hear
I
that.
think the only 2 people I've done from SBG is Alyssa and,
Okay.
Allie. Everybody else,
Okay.
like, I've asked so many people from there, and they're like, they're just like, "No, we can't do it." Like, Todd, I've asked him, and I've asked, and they're just like, but you guys, as soon as like, that's what I like about your community, because like I said, I'm part of all 3, but as soon as I ask you guys, it's like, "Yeah, okay, we'll be there."
Yeah, we're pretty down to earth and,
It's like your story's the same, it's like, not to be mean, everybody has a different story, but yet it's the same. Like, the more things, it's almost like the concept, more things change, more they're the same. And
mhm.
big or small, everybody has a big story. Everybody's
Everybody's
story
story
is,
is meaningful.
yeah,
Yeah, and someone's gonna resonate with the
right,
story.
you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, you've been through a lot. I mean, I can't claim that I understand everything you've been through on an
You have
emotional
too.
level, but you can't really completely understand everything I've been through. You don't
No,
know,
I
you
have
don't
never
know.
had anything amputated.
No.
I've helped patients in the hospital who've had it, but it's not the
And
same as
and,
going
you
through
know,
it.
and when you think about it, people probably have this, like, innate thought process that when you get an amputation, you amputate, you wrap it up, and in a few weeks, it's all healed. They don't realize it doesn't, things happen. That's why I got the infect that in my opinion, and I think I'm about, like, 99.9% right. The infection came from the open wound.
Absolutely.
Where else would it have gone
Absolutely.
from?
That's what always happens, and, whenever I was taking care of patients at the hospital that had an amputation, one of the parts of the education that the nurses gave was foot inspection, because
Yeah,
it's not like they had their whole foot amputated every time, sometimes it was a toe or 2. Foot inspection is so important, and honestly, just because even if you had, like, all your toes amputated, it doesn't mean that your tissues are getting good oxygenation if your blood sugar is still not well
yeah,
controlled, and there's healing that needs to happen. And it's like you got syrup running through your veins, and all those little capillaries that feed your tissues are clogged up. Oxygen's not getting to the tissues, and tissues start to die, nerves start to die. Healing, you need blood flow to get the immune
yeah,
cells. You cut yourself, you step on something, you cut yourself, normally your whole immune system is going
yeah.
to kick into gear and all those immune cells are going to come clean it
And
up. But when you
and you were the only one that saw the foot.
Hmm,
Like,
yeah, you sent
well,
me the pictures.
yeah, well, you said you want, so I sent them to
Mhm.
you.
Most
I
people would probably
I'm
be
not
grossed out.
ashamed by what happened to me. I just don't wanna freak people out?
And it's not just the physical healing that can take a while, it's the psychological
Oh,
healing
god,
from
yeah.
losing a
I
part of your
mean,
body.
I thought, I'll be honest with you, I never wanted to die. I never thought, I mean, actually, I could probably say, like, I just didn't understand why I'm still alive.
Mm,
You know, I'd be like, "Why are you torturing me? Why is this all happening to me? Why am I still here?" And I get all depressed and everything like that. And I don't have that feeling anymore. Even when I'm depressed, it's more like, "Oh, like I don't know what the depression is, but it's
yeah.
just a sadness."
Maybe a
But
very sensitive person too. I mean, I understand. I'm a very sensitive person, and so some of us are just kind of more empaths, and we
yeah,
feel real deeply.
yeah.
Yeah,
And, but I snap out of it a lot better now, it's
that's
like,
good.
you know, yeah, like, sometimes I'll just do a live and be like, "Okay, life is hard," like, I'm like, right now I'm dealing with some lemons, and I need you guys to help me make some lemonade, basically.
Mhm.
It works. Actually, one
Yeah.
time, I was really depressed, and Amy actually came on and helped me out, so,
Oh, I love it.
yeah,
Amy's awesome.
Amy is awesome. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I missed your thing yesterday because I had to be up by 4 in the morning this morning to go to work, and
Oh,
then they
okay.
had a party, and then, so the whole day I was like
Yeah.
I probably felt like you guys do, I had something to do the whole time. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna end, now, and then if you could just stay on for a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Thank you so much for having me, and again, I apologize for being late. Like I said, you're the first. I've never been late before,
but
but I appreciate you.
before I do my ending, what's the best way of, getting in touch with you? Like, finding it?
So, I am Midlife Carnivore, also on Instagram. I need to check more often, but you can DM me on Instagram. Um, I have 2 Gmails. The one I check the most is my Healing Humanity email account, but that one's not Gmail. So, you can find me on Healing Humanity Life, obviously, connect with me there, but Lynn at healinghumanity.movie um, is an email that am checking all the time, and so that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And so, but I also have midlifecarnivore at gmail.com.
Excellent. Excellent. And yeah, I know we were talking, last week, with Renee, and we were talking about your show, which we didn't really get into today, but, your show where you read books,
We
basically.
well, and right now it's the keto study club that we're
I
doing.
know,
Medicine club, yeah.
we
We're
should have.
going through
Yep,
this textbook.
yep. Which, suggestion to anybody, if anybody on here is part of the Kilts, um, that this would probably be a pretty good, live to watch to kinda
We
learn a
have
little bit more
somebody
about.
that's part of Kilts who has actually gone back and is listening to all of them. We go through it slow.
Who is it that is from Kilts?
Bill? Is it Bill?
Oh, Bill Cook.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I know Bill Cook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Alright,
but we
cool.
go through it slow because we read and discuss, and we kind of probably discuss more than we read. So we're on chapter 3 of 10 chapters right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, you go through it pretty in-depthly too, so it's not like you go through the chapters quickly, it's not like
We
each
do not go through them quickly.
no,
Absolutely. And
you're
so
you're
even
pretty you're pretty enthralled and pretty entailed.
we're nerds. Yeah, it's 2 nurses and a data analyst. So
Yeah,
you've got all this left brain, thinkers,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
we want to understand.
2 people I'm trying to get on here. I'm trying to get everybody on here, I'm not ashamed of anybody that comes on here. I might be a little scared of some people, but I'm not ashamed. But, 2 people that you're connected with is Carrie. I've emailed her, but she's not responding back. I don't know why. And,
I'll put a bug in her ear.
of course, I wouldn't mind having Dave
Oh,
on.
yeah, he'd love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Dave on. I
He'd
mean,
probably end up talking airplanes.
I'll learn a little bit about airplanes, so alright, so everybody, just like I always say, live, love, heal, and for God's sakes, people, how many times do I have to say it? Eat the meat.